Me again. Alright, on this particular segment, I'd like to finish up with nutrition and then segue right into etiquette. And by the way, I was mistaken. As far as this boost goes, check this out. It has 380 milligrams of potassium. It has 25% of the daily requirement of magnesium, 25% iron. I mean, this thing is like, it's perfect. It's beautiful. Protein powder, it's messy. It's nasty. You're trying to do the whole water. It just clogs up your thing, your your Nalgene bottle and everything. So I don't necessarily recommend protein powder, and it's really not necessary to that point. For example, this has 15 grams of protein. That's good. You don't necessarily have to get these like protein packs that got like 30 and 50 grams of protein because the bottom line is the body can only absorb no more than 30 grams of protein in a day. So don't really trip on the protein that much. Granted, you're going to get into a point when you start to lose weight that after a while you're going to start to atrophy as well once you run through your fat. I think from what I've seen, guys tend to lose more muscle than women, and women tend to not lose as much weight as they want to. But keep in mind, these are the women that I may see within the first 6 weeks. In 2005, I hooked up with a female hiker in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, and we finished the rest of the way off and on. Now, when she got to Maine, she was pretty much emaciated. So the point I'm trying to say is that if you stay on that trail, ladies, you will lose weight. It's just a matter of time. You just have to you have to stay in there. I got to tell you, man. All right, I digress again. Check this out. Iron. This is general health. I got it at Walmart. You're looking at what? This has 65 grams, and this is just your average multivitamin. This says equate. However, you can get Centrum. I don't know. As much as I know, I'll tell you a vitamin's a vitamin. Me knowing a little bit of nutrition, what I'll do is I'll go on an aisle and I'll just set them side by side and see which has the most of the principles that I need. And I already talked about that. Which has the most magnesium, which has the most potassium, which has the most iron, blah 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 blah, kind of thing. So now the end part about nutrition is which is very important, and it does bear mentioning. Your brain uses more blood than any other organ in your body. And I'm not talking about the heart. The heart pumps blood. When we're talking about blood absorption to actually run, we're talking about the brain. Okay? Sugar is the one thing, now I'm sorry to get off point, but stay with me. Sugar is the one thing that the body does not get rid of. I mean, anything else, salt, whatever, you sweat it out. Your body holds sugar. Your body, and the organ that uses the most sugar in the body as far as energy goes, because sugar is energy, is your brain. Now, let's get back to the blood principle. You are what you eat. Especially when you're in a situation where you're putting your body through a rigorous regimen, okay? Then everything you eat, your body's gonna use it to the maximum potential. Alright? So when you're hiking that trail and you're doing your thing, I'm not saying you gotta be like a vegan or monitor what you eat, but what I'm saying is what you eat is so important, because that's going to be the life's blood. That's what's going to go to nourish your blood. So when your nutrition isn't right, okay, you may not be able to know physically, because some people come to the trail, they're a little overweight, or such as myself, you train before you get there, so it takes a second to really see it. But you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it mentally before you really feel it physically. And I really can't say that either. But I'm trying to make a point, and the point is, when your nutrition is not right, it's going to affect your mood. It's going to affect your brain processes. You're going to start dreaming weird. It's going to affect your spirit in the sense of your motivation and stuff. So that's why nutrition is so important. If you're eating right, then you're thinking right. Your brain is in a good place, because when you start to hurt, when those blisters start to swell up, when you start to get, pains and everything, your attitude is going to get you through it. And now, camaraderie with people and all that, that'll only get you so far. Okay? So, as far as to avoid any psychosis, any kind of depression or anything like that, I'll harp again, you need to make sure you get the right nutrients and vitamins. Because any impurities in the blood is going to be filtered through the brain long before it gets to the body. Okay? So, we'll say that. And since I mentioned swelling, let me say this as far as medicines and whatnot. Now, you got three pain relievers, the three major pain relievers. You have ibuprofen, we'll say Advil. You have Tylenol, and you have aspirin. Okay. When you're hiking on the trail, everything counts as far as weight goes. If you have to pick one, what I would recommend, okay, is ibuprofen. Now, Advil is ibuprofen, just as far as to give it a name. I'm not pushing Advil or anything like that. But the thing about ibuprofen, what makes that so important is the fact that ibuprofen is an anti-inflammatory. And in most cases, when you're in pain and need an aspirin or a Tylenol, the inflammation in itself, the swelling in itself, causes the pain, okay? Which makes ibuprofen, good. Now, at the same time, you got to be careful with ibuprofen because you don't want to, I'm not going to say overdose on it, but if you take in too much ibuprofen, there will be side effects, okay? If you ask me what, I really couldn't tell you, but we'll just say liver problems. The same thing with water tablets, but we'll get to that later. The most important thing about ibuprofen is this. Number one, yes, I suggest ibuprofen, but however, make note of this. If you go to the store and you buy ibuprofen, okay, we'll say, wow, this is a heavy package. I don't think I want to carry all this weight. So what you do is you take the ibuprofen out of here and you pour it in a bag, and then you stuff it in your thing. There's a problem with that. You don't know the milligrams. You don't know the dosage, okay? And what's so important about that is you got over-the-counter drugs and you got prescription-level drugs. So let's say I'm in pain, and from 1 to 10, my degree of discomfort is a 9, or 8, or a 9. Then right there, I'm going to need at least 800 to 1,000 milligrams of ibuprofen before I could feel it. Now, how many is that? Well, if you go over the counter, let's say Advil over the counter is pretty much each capsule is 220 milligrams, give or take. Now, if you go the Cost Cutter brand, you just get the average ibuprofen over the counter, that's 200 milligrams, okay? You have to know the numbers on that because then you just do the math. You take 5 if it's 200, you take 4 if it's 420. But what's important to know is you take enough that's gonna act, you know how many to take to actually help you. Because I've seen people, they'd be like, oh, this will help, and they take 2 ibuprofen and they be in pain the whole day when they don't realize 2's not enough, man. I mean, what's the dosage? What are you doing? So if you're gonna buy ibuprofen, which is what I recommend, and if you're gonna switch it out of the container that it comes in, what you want to do is make sure that you mark the dosage of the container. If you're gonna take ibuprofen from somebody, if you're gonna share drugs and this, that, and the other, you got to know the dosage. It's not recommended, but when you're in a community like that and you're hurting, I like to see myself as Superman. I get in a problem and I just go through the pain. I broke that real quick and I started asking for ibuprofen, and then I started studying because I got to tell you, it really does work. Like I said, I got nothing against aspirin, I got nothing against Tylenol, but what you're gonna feel the most is the pain and inflammation of your joints and stuff like that because of the rigorous regimen that you're putting on your body, and ibuprofen is probably the best thing to take with you. Okay, time. Etiquette, real quick, check this out. I've been on the trail and I've seen guys hiking with a 9mm right here, okay, straight up. Now you're like, dude, a gun, really? Now this guy could be an off-duty police officer, but I mean, he's not in uniform. He's dressed to hike. So naturally, you look at these guys and be like, why do you have a gun? Okay? You could be hiking and you see guys with samurai swords. You see guys with big old machetes. I mean, that would make, not Jason Voorhees, but that Halloween dude. Mike Myers look like, wow, let me have that. You see guys with hatchets, like they're lumberjacks, Paul Bunyan. And never mind the weight. It's just, dude, and I don't know. You got to call them a weapon. It's like, honestly, you're not in Panama, man. You're not bushwhacking. Why do you have these things? You got to take in mind. First of all, are you wrong for doing it? No. Hike your own hike. I'm not here to judge you, but understand, this is a federally funded trail. This is going through state parks. You got family. You got people that are coming through here that's just looking to have a good family, safe environment. And I don't want to be hiking, and it's happened. And you come up on these guys that got these big old blades strapped across the back of their back because you're thinking, wow, And me being a minority, and you see these big old white guys with all these weapons, I'm sorry, man, you're in rural South. I'm thinking, really? How do I want, this is just crazy. But, you got to go with your gut. You fill them out. You talk. You ask questions until you see what's going on. But for those of you that are thinking about bringing things like that, dude, it's not necessary. And all it's going to do is add discomfort because you know, there are recommended campsites. There are places where you can go to set up camp. So 9 times out of 10, at the end of your hike, you may not see nobody. But if you're the fastest or the slowest, you may be the first to set up camp or the last, you're going to end up in places where there's going to be people there. You know, people are going to watch you. They're going to see what kind of gear you have. And if you're walking into camp with guns and all this other stuff, I'm telling you, man, it's just gonna, it's just very uncomfortable. Okay. So leave the weapons at home. About animals, you know, I love dogs, okay? But people, dogs are not going to through hike. I've been on the trail a lot of times, and every time I've seen dogs melt down, you know. I mean, I've seen them bleed from their paws, you know, and people just don't want to leave Fido at home. The dogs get irritable, and they're hiking in the rain, and then the people come to these camp areas, and I can understand why you don't want to leash your dog, and they don't. And then the dog goes running around, hopping in people's tents, and like, it's crazy. But I feel more for the owners and not necessarily the dogs, because that's just not a place for animals. So if you're gonna through hike and you love your dog, leave your dog at home. You know, it's just too much to ask. You know, and like I said, I've seen some meltdowns as far as the dogs go. Now, as a hiker, you got to understand, these are state parks you're hiking through. These are people are going to come with their animals, and you're going to see their dogs, and I swear to God, you know, bless their heart, they will not have them on leashes. I've seen guys walking on the trail with big old pet bulls, and not only is the dog not on the leash, the guy's walking through with these big old sticks, and I'm like, dude, why do you have a stick? I mean, you got the sticks so you can help the dog. You know, it's crazy, you know, and people just think the world of their animals. They don't think they need to have them on a leash, and it's very intimidating to be hiking down a trail and you see this big old dog coming at you. I mean, looking like massive or you know, big fat head bulldogs and whatnot, and you got this 45-pound bag, you know, on your back, so you're already subdued, you know, and you have minimal ability to move and whatnot. And now you got these dogs coming at you, and then most of the time there's families that have 2 or more dogs. Okay, 12 minutes. I'm gonna have to stop this, but let me run through it. Okay, I recommend mace. Sometimes it's gonna be necessary. Dogs get crazy, and especially when the weather's bad. You know, people bring their dogs out, and the dogs are irritable. You know, and keep in mind, when you're walking and you're hiking, you got all this stuff on your when you're walking and hiking, you got all this stuff on your back. When the dog looks at you, you look like this like beast. You know, you look like something out of Pokemon. So the only thing they're thinking, especially if you have shades on, and they're thinking, oh, I got to protect my owner. So naturally they start baring their teeth. What I recommend is this. When you're coming on the trail, 9 times out of 10, the dog is going to outpace the owner. When you see an animal, stop. Okay, make eye contact. Damn what they tell you about don't look in the eye. Make eye contact with that animal and you will see its intentions. Okay, if you feel uncomfortable, immediately take your pack off. You know, you can put the pack in front of you. You can do whatever. I don't use hiking sticks. I don't use mace, but I do have a knife. But what I'm thinking to myself is I don't want to kill some little girl's family pet. You know what I'm saying? So what I do is I give the dog the right of way. If he's coming down the trail, I know the owner's coming, you know, I'm going to drop my pack. I'm going to have my weapon with me, but I'm going to stand out the way. You know, doesn't hurt to whistle, doesn't hurt to say some kind words, but at the same time, you know, you still got this degree of anxiety because you're like, where's the owner? Why isn't the owner with this dog? You know? So, ladies, most definitely bring some mace. And another thing, don't have the mace at the bottom of your pack. Okay? It's inevitable. When you're hiking, you're gonna see some animals. You're gonna see, I mean, pets and dogs and whatnot. So you want to have it readily available. You want to have it at hand when you need it. But I'm gonna tell you, the best weapon is a whistle. One of those high whistles that you just, not necessarily a dog whistle, but a whistle that you just blow it, because sound is a very, very powerful weapon, especially with animals. So if you don't want to do the mace, you don't want to do the knife thing, have one of them little old school whistles. I mean, you can have one like Coach, but that's not the good one. I'm talking about them little thin ones, the little cylinder ones. You blow on that, you're going to send people away from you. But that's the best weapon. Like I said, for those of you that are just like hardcore, don't kill nobody's pet. These are people's, you know, family pets. Maybe they don't know any better. You know, they look at them as their own, you know, family, and they don't want to keep them on leash. I do understand that. But like I said, you know, there's this gray area. So if you come across a dog or something like that, make eye contact, see where they're coming from. If you still don't feel comfortable, drop your pack, put it in front of you, and then if you have something as far as, you know, pose or something like that, you know, make a span. make a stand, take a defensive position away from the trail, but at the same time in such a way where you're kind of guarded with your pack and you're ready to strike. And in some cases, if you don't see the owner and the dog is still coming, you can be like, hey, whose dog is this? You can scream and things of that nature, and then the people come around, see what's going on. Okay, dude, 15 minutes. I'm high on time. All right, I hope I covered everything. I did enough videos for today. Thanks for listening. Out here.